I say, Jimmy Henchman on the phone. He want to holler at you. Suge say, where you at, little You sure could run fast, you little punk mother. So at this time, I realized something going on. Mm-hmm. Jimmy tells him, yeah, you caught me slipping, but you didn't catch me. He said, I sent you one message already. He like, yeah, I sent you one message. He said,
Suge Knight and his business partner Dr. Dre had taken over hip-hop with their newly formed record label, Death Row Records. Their first project, The Chronic, dropped in December of that year and went on to sell millions of records. Suge Knight wasn't just a music mogul behind the music. He was notoriously known as the most dangerous man in hip-hop. His reputation dated back to the late 80s, when he was just getting his foot in the music business. Suge grew up on the east side of Compton, in the Linwood section, an Al-Blood neighborhood. He didn't officially claim any sets growing up, but he was close with many Bloods from his area. Instead of gangbanging, he focused on football, eventually playing at the University of Nevada. After going undrafted in the NFL, he briefly signed with the 49ers and later with the Rams. But after off-field trouble, his football career came to an end. He then turned his attention fully to the music business. Meanwhile, James Rosemond, better known as Jimmy Henchman, was carving his own path. Born in Harlem and raised in Brooklyn's Vanderveer Gardens projects, he grew up in a Haitian household. By his teenage years, Jimmy had already been arrested and spent time on Rikers Island, where he connected with stick-up kids and built his reputation in the streets. Known first as Jimmy Ace, and later as Jimmy Henchman, he became one of the most feared street legends in Brooklyn. In the early 90s, Henchman tried to go legit in the music industry. He co-founded a hip-hop conference called How Can I Be Down, and even played a role behind Salt-N-Pepa's 1993 hit Shoop. He began managing artists and pushing further into the industry, just as Suge Knight was building Death Row. By the mid, tensions between the two men began to surface. The first sparks reportedly flew in Miami during a meeting arranged by Uncle Luke to squash a beef between Dr. Dre and his camp. Witnesses say that was the first time Suge Knight and Jimmy Henchman clashed. Things escalated when Tupac was shot at Quad Studios in Manhattan. Pac believed Jimmy Henchman was behind the setup, since he thought he was going there to record a feature for Henchman's artist, Little Sean. Not long after, Suge Knight bailed Pac out of prison, brought him into Death Row, and together, they were both focused on revenge. Pac would later call out Jimmy Henchman directly on Against All Odds, recorded in the summer of 1996 and released after his death. The disc promised payback for the Quad Studios setup. By then, the lines were clear: Suge and Pac on one side, Jimmy Henchman and his New York connections on the other. Fast forward a few years, and Jimmy was managing The Game, who was closely tied to Dr. Dre. That made the tension even deeper, because Dre and Suge had long been enemies since Dre left Death Row. In Miami at the 2004 MTV VMAs, Suge and Game reportedly had a face-off, with rumors that Suge slapped him. Game denied the slap, but the moment added more fuel to the rivalry. The following year, another confrontation happened in Los Angeles when Jimmy met with Big U to handle business for Game. Suge pulled up with a crew, but Jimmy stood his ground, refusing to run. Big U later said that was the moment he gained respect for Jimmy, even though Suge made it clear that Jimmy was only walking out of there alive because of Big U's presence. Later that same year, Suge was shot at Kanye West's after party during the MTV VMAs in Miami. Witnesses described a chaotic scene, and some speculated Jimmy Henchman had orchestrated it as a warning. Suge survived, but the tension was now blood-deep, according to WAC 100. Suge later confronted Jimmy in Los Angeles again, this time at the Century City Plaza. WAC claimed Jimmy ran, but Henchman was furious at the accusation. On a three-way call he told Suge, "Yeah, you caught me slipping, but you didn't catch me. I sent you one message already. Next time, it's going to be raised higher." Referring back to the Miami shooting, Jimmy warned that next time the shot wouldn't be to the leg, but to the head. Their war spilled into the late 2000s. During the filming of Game's music video, My Life with Lil Wayne, Suge allegedly pulled up and tried to stir things up by telling young homies on set that Jimmy was behind Tupac's death. Jimmy's team shut it down immediately, telling Suge that if he wanted to handle business, he should do it himself instead of manipulating younger dudes. Eventually, their feud fizzled as both men's lives spiraled. Jimmy Henchman was arrested in 2011 and charged with running a large drug operation. Later, he was convicted for his role in the murder of a G-Unit associate and sentenced to life plus 30 years. Suge Knight, meanwhile, found himself in more and more trouble. In 2015, after running over 2 men on the set of Straight Outta Compton, he was sentenced to 28 years in prison. That's how the story of Suge Knight and Jimmy Henchman ended, 2 of the most feared and dangerous figures in hip-hop history, locked in a rivalry that stretched across decades, leaving behind a trail of intimidation, violence, and power moves.